Good morning and welcome to the 10th session of The Man Eater of Malgudi. I am Yashwanta MP, Assistant Professor in English, working in Government First Aid College, Hanuru, Chamarajanagar, Karnataka. That night, Nataraj, Shastri, and the poet were a grim and silent trio. Nataraj had never worked harder as a printer. Details connected with the celebration had kept him. Shastri and the poet were awfully busy. That's why they had neglected the most important thing, the printing of the book. The book was to be dedicated on the spring festival day to the goddess at the temple. They had still to print 1,000 lines of verse. The poet had given the manuscript weeks before. The poet had not forced the early printing as Nataraj was not charging anything for it. He was prepared even to dedicate the manuscript for the ceremony. But it was a matter of prestige for Nataraj as a printer to print at least one copy. ಈ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ರಾಧೆಯರ ಮದುವೆಯ ಈ ಗಾಥೆಯನ್ನು ಕವಿಯವರು ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಆ ಗಾಥೆಯ ಒಂದು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಇನ್ನೂ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಇಡೀ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ, ನಟರಾಜ್ ಮತ್ತು ಕವಿ 3 ಜನ ಸೇರಿಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಾರ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಟರಾಜ್ರವರು ಈ ಮದುವೆಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾಪಿಯನ್ನಾದರೂ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಅರ್ಪಿಸಬೇಕು, ದೇವರ ಪೂಜೆಗೆ ಅರ್ಪಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತರಾತುರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ದ ಟ್ರಯೋ ವಾಸ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಡೆಸ್ಪರೇಟ್ಲಿ. ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ವಾಸ್ ಕಂಪೋಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ಪೇಜಸ್, ದ poet was reading the proof of those pages, and Nataraj was printing them. They were tired. During the earlier part of the night, they had discussed the various aspects of the work and even cut jokes. But an hour before the midnight, they were irritated by one another's presence. Nataraj's legs ached, his eyes smarted, and he longed for rest. He wondered why he had involved himself in this affair. He thought that he could have spent the time profitably in printing cages labels. The sight of the poet provoked in Nataraj wild thoughts. He felt furious at seeing the poet nodding. He felt like flinging a tumbler of cold water over his head. He was furious at seeing him sleeping because everything was being done for him. Shastri had become a headache to him. After every 5 minutes, he called out to him from the composing room to clear his doubts. Nataraj prodded the poet to give him answers for removing the doubt. ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಗ್ನರಾಗಿರುವಂತಹ ನಟರಾಜ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಬೇಸತ್ತು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರ ಕಾಲುಗಳು ನೋಯಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರುವಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕಣ್ಣುಗಳು ಮಂಜಾಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರುವಾಗ್ತವೆ. ಯಾಕಾದರೂ ನಾನು ಈ ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಾರ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿದ್ದೀನಪ್ಪ, ಅದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಹಣ ಬರದೇ ಇರುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿದ್ದೀನಲ್ಲ. ಇದರ ಬದಲು KJಯ ಲೇಬಲ್ಗಳನ್ನಾದರೂ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಹಣ ಬರ್ತಾಯಿತ್ತು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಕವಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಕೋಪ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರ ತಲೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ನೀರಿನ ತಂಬಿಗೆಯಿಂದ ಹೊಡೆದುಬಿಡಲ ಅನ್ನುವಷ್ಟು ಕೋಪ ನಟರಾಜ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದರ ನಡುವೆ ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ ರೂಮಿಂದ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿಯವರು ತಮಗೆ ಬಂದಂಥ ಡೌಟ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಕೂಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ನಟರಾಜ್ ಮತ್ತು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೂ ನಿದ್ರೆಗೆ ಜಾರಿದ್ದಂತಹ ಕವಿಯನ್ನು ಎಬ್ಬಿಸಿ ನಟರಾಜ್ರವರು ಅವರ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರೀಯ ಡೌಟನ್ನು ನಿವಾರಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. While correcting the proof, the poet was constantly nibbling the tip of his pen and brushing it against his cheek constantly. Nataraj, annoyed, asked him if his cheek was a pencil sharpener. The poet replied that he did that whatever he thought. Nataraj forbade him to think. He told that if the poet started thinking, they would have to go on with proof corrections till eternity. The poet had not shaved. He had preserved the blade for the great day of celebration function. Nataraj slept for a while. Shastri got jealous of Nataraj when Shastri saw him asleep. He invented an excuse to pull Nataraj out of it. It was now Shastri's turn to to enjoy a short sleep. He arranged a corner chair against the wall and curled up in it, his deliberate preparation to sleep to upset Nataraj. But Nataraj could do nothing, as Shastri had an unchallenged right to sleep, at least to doze. It was Nataraj's turn to work and Shastri's to sleep. Until Nataraj printed the forms, Shastri had no type left to compose. Until he released the type, there was nothing for Shastri to work but sleep. He heard the other two snoring beyond the curtain, but there was nothing he could do about it. ಹೀಗೆ ಇವರ ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಾರ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕವಿ ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೂ ಎಚ್ಚರ ಇದ್ದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಆಗ ಕೋಪಗೊಂಡ ನಟರಾಜ್, ನೀವು ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದಾದರೆ ಅನಂತ ಕಾಲದವರೆಗೆ ಮುಗಿಯೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನೀನು ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಿದ್ರೆಗೆ ಜಾರಿದ್ದ ನಟರಾಜ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ಕಂಡು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿಯವರಿಗೆ ಜಲಸಿ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ತಾನು ಮಲಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅವರು ನಟರಾಜರನ್ನು ಎಬ್ಬಿಸಿ ಅವರ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಸೆಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಈಗ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ನಿದ್ರೆಗೆ ಜಾರ್ತಾರೆ. Now, over the noise of the printing machine, Nataraj heard a new noise. A repeated tap on the grill. He hoped that the stuffed hyena had come to life. He tried to ignore the noise and to go on with his printing. He still heard the sound of the tap. He applied his eye to the hole and saw a vague outline. He thought, oh, the ghost of the hyena has come back. A thrill of fear lifted the hair on his scalp. He thought of waking up the other two on this excuse and making them share his fright. The animated hyena seemed to be whispering, "Sir, sir, this is urgent, listen." He lifted the edge of the bamboo curtain. The light from the treadle illuminated the face of Rangi. Nataraj's hair stood on end. Rangi was a woman to be avoided. Nataraj's first reaction was one of thankfulness that Shastri was on the other side of the curtain, facing the wall. She was a woman whom he saw going down the steps every morning with the flowers crushed in her hair, a woman whom Shastri considered it a sin to look at. Nataraj thought he was a prey to hallucination. Perhaps the strain of the last few days had done their trick. He turned away to his treadle. He smiled at the pranks his mind was playing, but the phantom called again. Listen to me. Nataraj thought that woman wanted to seduce him at that late hour. He turned around in fear and thought that his wife appeared by chance. At the moment, his domestic life would come to an end. Though Rangi was black and looked rugged, there was an irresistible charm about her. Nataraj feared that he might succumb to her charm. He asked with needless sternness in his face, "Why do you disturb me at this hour of the night?" She said, gesturing with her fingers to remain silent. "You will wake him up if you talk so loudly. I have very urgent news for you." ನಟರಾಜ್ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಕವಿಯವರ ಗೊರಕೆಯ ಶಬ್ದದ ನಡುವೆ ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಾರ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ನಂತರ ಮೆಟ್ಟಲಿನಿಂದ ಯಾರೋ ಇಳಿದು ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಕೇಳಿಸುತ್ತೆ ನಟರಾಜ್ಗೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಈ ವಾಸು ಸ್ಟಫ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿರುವಂಥ ಹೈನ ಕತ್ತೆ ಕಿರುಬ ಜೀವಂತವಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇನು ಅಂತ ಭಯದಿಂದ ಭಯಪಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ನಟರಾಜ್. ಆಗ ಒಂದು ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳಿಸುತ್ತೆ, "ಸ್ವಾಮಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿ, ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿ" ಅಂತ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ನಟರಾಜ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದು ರಂಗಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾಳೆ. ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ಈ ರಂಗಿ ವಾಸುನ ಮಹಡಿಯಿಂದ ಮೆಟ್ಟಿಲಿಳಿದು ದಿನಾ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಎದ್ದು ಹೋಗೋದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಈ ನಡುರಾತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ರಂಗಿ ಬಂದು ನಟರಾಜ್ರವ್ರನ್ನ ಮಾತಾಡಿಸ್ತಿರೋದು ನಟರಾಜ್ರವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬಹಳನೇ ಭಯ ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತನ್ನ ಹೆಂಡತಿನಾದರೂ ಈ ರಂಗಿ ಮಾತನಾಡುವುದನ್ನು ಕಂಡರೆ ತನ್ನ ಸಂಸಾರ ಅಂತ್ಯಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ ಎನ್ನುವ ಭಯದಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಗ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ, "ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೆತ್ತಗೆ ಇರಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವನು ಎದ್ದು ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ" ಅಂತ ವಾಸುವಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. When Nataraj saw her nearer, he did not find her bad. She was not rugged. Her breasts were billowy, like the temple sculptures. He resented the attraction she exuded. She wore a thin red sari. She told that she must return before Vasu awoke. She then told that Vasu intended to shoot Kumar the elephant the next day and cautioned Nataraj to be careful. She told that she, being a temple woman, was in love with the temple elephant. She requested him to save the elephant. Nataraj asked her how he could save him and what sort of an armor he could provide for him, the elephant. And then, on a sudden doubt, he whispered, "Are you in your senses? Or have you been taking opium or something of that kind?" The woman felt angry at this whispering. Nataraj stepped up to the curtain and parted the edge of it. He was relieved to see Shastri still sleeping and his position unchanged. The poet was also sleeping. He had drawn and curled himself in the Queen Anne chair. Nataraj could not open the locked grill which separated him from Rangi. The key was in the drawer of the table in the other room. If he approached the table for the keys, he was bound to disturb the sleepers. When he tiptoed back to his place beside the grill, there she was ready to swallow him up wholesale, ready to embrace him in her mighty arms and to dissolve his monogamous chastity. ನಟರಾಜ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ರಂಗಿಯನ್ನು ಏನು ವಿಷಯ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ. ಆಗ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ, ನಾನು ವಾಸುನ ಜೊತೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ, ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಆನೆ, ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅನ್ನುವ ಹೆಸರಿನ ಆನೆಯನ್ನು ವಾಸು ನಾಳೆ ಬರುವ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಂಥ ನಟರಾಜ್ಗೆ, ನೀನು ಕುಡಿದಿದೆಯಾ, ನೀನು ಓಪಿಯಮ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಸೇವಿಸಿದೆಯಾ, ನಿನಗೆ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಸರಿ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಕೋಪಗೊಂಡಂಥ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ, ನಾನು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ನರ್ತಕಿಯಾಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆ ಆನೆ ಕುಮಾರನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನನಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಈ ವಿಚಾರ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. Nataraj found her irresistible. She stood on the last step. She had come back. She told indifferently that she had gone to see if he was still sleeping. She took out of the folds of her waist a pouch and from it a betel nut and leaf and tobacco, put them into her mouth and started chewing. She looked relaxed. In his fevered state, Nataraj wanted to ask if she was aware that the grill was locked and the key was where Shastri was sleeping. Rangi told that Vasu did not want her to go in the procession because it would not be safe for her. She giggled, threw the end of her sari over her face and felt shy at the thought of Vasu's consideration. She asked him if he would save the elephant. She rather insisted that he should save the elephant. Nataraj asked her if she would join the procession. She replied that she would. She told confidently. ನಟರಾಜರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂಥ ರಂಗಿ ಒಂದು ವೀಳ್ಯದೆಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅಡಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಬಾಯಿಗೆ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ, ವಾಸು ನನಗೆ ನಾಳೆಯ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆಗೆ, ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆಗೆ ನೀನು ಹೋಗಬೇಡ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿನಗೆ ಅಪಾಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ವಾಸುವಿನ ಕಾಳಜಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾಚಿ ನೀರಾಗ್ತಾಳೆ. ಆಗ ನಟರಾಜ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ನೀನು ನಾಳೆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀಯೋ ಇಲ್ವೋ ಅಂದಾಗ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ, ನಾನು ಖಂಡಿತ ಹೋಗ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ. Oh, let him say what he pleases. No man so far has stopped my doing what I like. ಆಗ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ, ಅವನು ಬೇಕಾದರೆ ಏನು ಬೇಕಾದರೂ ಹೇಳಲಿ, ಆದರೆ ನಾನು ಯಾರ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಕೇಳುವವಳಲ್ಲ, ನನಗೇನು ಬೇಕೋ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡುವಂಥವಳು ನಾನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. She told him that he would kill me if he knew that I was talking to him, but she did not care for what he would do. She asked at what time the procession would pass that way. She told that Vasu had been telling her of his plan and did not want her to be in the procession when he killed the elephant. She told that he cared very much for her. She further told that sometimes he was completely mad, picked up all kinds of women, and he expected her to quarrel with them. She told that he would shoot the elephant from the window. She went on saying all about him. She told that he would take her to Bombay when he could settle there, would like her to cook pulao for him, and that she would go with him because she wanted to see new places. She told that he was fed up with the hotel food and wanted her to cook for him, and that was one of the reasons why he cared for her and did not want her to be in the crowd when he shot the elephant from the window. When Nataraj told that he would inform the police, she forbade him to do so. She explained this in the following manner: how will it help? The police may themselves ask him to shoot it. When the elephant is passing here, it may go mad and charge into the crowd. Well, the elephants are easily excited, and then he will take aim from his window and shoot it. His aim is always perfect. ಹಾಗೆ ರಂಗಿ ನಟರಾಜ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾಳೆ ಈ ವಾಸು ರಂಗಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಾಳಜಿಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ. ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸಲ ರಂಗಿಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಬೇರೆ ಹೆಂಗಸರನ್ನ ಕರೆಸಿ ಅವರುಗಳ ಜೊತೆ ಜಗಳ ಆಡುವಂಥ ಪ್ರೇರೇಪಿಸ್ತಿರ್ತಾನೆ ರಂಗಿಯನ್ನು. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ನಾನು ಬಾಂಬೆಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ರಂಗಿ ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ನನಗೆ ಹೋಟೆಲ್ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಾಕಾಗಿದೆ, ನಿನ್ನ ಕೈಯಾರ ಅಡುಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಿಡಿಸುವೆ ಅಂತ ವಾಸು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಆನೆ ದಿಕ್ಕಾಪಾಲಾಗಿ ಅದು ಕೋಪಗೊಂಡು ಎಕ್ಸೈಟ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಚ್ಚಾಟ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ಈ ಮೇಲಿನ ಕಿಟಕಿಯಿಂದ ಗನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಶೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀನು ಆ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. ನಟರಾಜ್ ಟೋಡ್ ಆಂಗ್ರಿಲಿ, ಇಫ್ he is such a good shot, the place for him to demonstrate it is elsewhere, not here. Rangi implored him not to be angry, but to do something before it was too late. When Nataraj asked her why he wanted to kill the poor thing, Rangi replied, he says it's more useful dead. Then she spoke courageously and compassionately. He may kill me for speaking, but I don't care. I want to save the poor Kumar. ಆಗ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ, ನಾನು ಈ ಆನೆ ಕುಮಾರನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಬಯಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆಗ ನೀವು ಪೊಲೀಸ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ನಟರಾಜ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತೆ? ಆನೆ ಹುಚ್ಚಾಟವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಶೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಭಾವನೆಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ನವರು, ಇದು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ರಂಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರ ಬದಲು ನೀವೇ ಬೇರೆ ದಾರಿಯನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ, ನಾನು ಈ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು ವಾಸುಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾದರೆ ಅವನು ಕೊಂದೇ ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಆದರೆ ನಾನು ಈ ಆನೆ ಕುಮಾರನ್ನು ಬದುಕಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ವಾಸುವಿನ ಮಾತು ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. ನಟರಾಜ್ finished printing the forms, woke up Shastri to do his part of the work, and woke up the poet for proofreading. It was 9 o'clock in the morning when one set of forms was assembled ready for the binder. The sacred copy was to be bound in Banaras silk and kept in the temple. Nataraj asked the poet to go home to wash and then to reach the temple before 3 p.m. He asked Shastri to take 2 copies for binding. When Shastri asked if he could go home for washing, Nataraj got irritated and said to himself why he could not go home himself. At the same time, his little son came and told that the mother was waiting for him. Nataraj asked him, to tell his mother that he was awfully busy and could not come home, and that even Shastri was not going his home. He gave him a bunch of colored notices asking him to give one to his mother and the others to his friends. Then he asked his son to tell his mother that he would come home but could not tell what he would come, when he would come. Then suddenly he remembered Rangi and felt like asking his son to tell his mother not to go to the temple. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ನಟರಾಜ್ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ 9 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಎದ್ದು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿಯನ್ನು ಎಬ್ಬಿಸಿ ತನ್ನ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಗಿಸಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಂತಹ ನಟರಾಜ್ ಈಗ ಬೈಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಕಾರ್ಯವನ್ನು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಆಗ ನಟರಾಜ್ನ ಮಗ ಬಾಬು ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಾಬು ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಟರಾಜ್ ತನ್ನ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಈ ನೋಟಿಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ತನ್ನ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಹಾಗೂ ಮನೆಗೂ ಹೋಗಿ ತನ್ನ ತಾಯಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳು ಅಂತ ತನ್ನ ಹೆಂಡತಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾನೆ ತನ್ನ ಮಗನ ಹತ್ರ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಅವರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡೇ ವಾಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎ 10th of a second to Nataraj. It was compressed and fleeting. After sending Shastri and the poet to their respective homes, he took stock of all that he had to do between now and the function. He found his head in a whirl. He did not know where to make a start in the drawing a schedule. Every item appeared to be important and clamored for immediate attention. He could now understand why the government officials liked to stack up on their desks tray marked immediate, urgent and top priority. Everything today was on the top priority level. ಆ ದಿನ ತುಂಬ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಕೆಲಸ ಇರೋದರಿಂದ ಯಾವ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾವ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಬಿಡೋದು ಅನ್ನುವಷ್ಟು ತರಾತುರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ ನಟರಾಜ್. ಆಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಕೆಲವು ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ಗಳು ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನು ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್, ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಮತ್ತು ಟಾಪ್ ಪ್ರಿಯಾರಿಟಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಭಾಗ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. Although they had been working madly for weeks, everything seemed to be crowded into the last minute. First, he had to remind the flower dealer to send the flowers for the decorating the chariot. By 11, he had engaged 2 specialist brothers from Talapur who were in demand all over South India. Given the foliage and the quantity of chrysanthemums, they demanded their decoration of a chariot was a masterpiece. But they needed a clear 8 hours to arrange the flowers. The chariot must be ready for the procession at 8 p.m. and they would have to begin their decoration at 11 a.m. The decorator brothers were stars who expected to be received at 10 a.m. at the bus stand. As Nataraj alone recognized them, he had to be there at the bus stand at the market stand. He had also to visit the florist who had his shop at the farthest corner of Market Road, a man amenable only to his influence. ಹೀಗೆ ಆ ದಿನ ಆ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ ರಥವನ್ನು ಶೃಂಗಾರ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ತಲಪುರದ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಸಹೋದರರನ್ನು ಎಂಗೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ನಟರಾಜ್. ಈ ತಲಪುರದ ಈ ಫ್ಲವರ್ ಡೆಕೋರೇಟರ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರದರ್ಸ್ನ ಕೇವಲ ನಟರಾಜ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವರನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರುವ ಕಾರ್ಯ ಕೂಡ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇವರು ಸುಮಾರು 8 ಗಂಟೆಗಳ ಸಮಯ ಕೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಇಡೀ ರಥವನ್ನು ಶೃಂಗಾರ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೂಗಳಿಂದ. He had also to make sure the piper and the drummer would arrive in time. They were stars in their own line and so expected personal attention from Nataraj, the organizer. There was an enormous program for feeding the public. They had planned to offer the god rice cooked with jaggery and spiced with cardamom and coconut and to distribute it to the crowd following the procession. A merchant had donated the required rice, coconut and jaggery on the condition that the name of his shop would be mentioned in the speech. 4 professional cooks were engaged for preparing food. There were the kitchen light and petrol lamps for the illumination of the temple and the procession. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಈ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆಗೆ ವಾದ್ಯದ ತಂಡದವರು ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಅಟೆನ್ಷನ್ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ನಟರಾಜ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಈ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದ ಈ ರಾಧಾ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಮಿಸಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜನರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೆಲ್ಲದ ಅನ್ನವನ್ನು, ಸಿಹಿಯಾದ ಬೆಲ್ಲದ ಅನ್ನವನ್ನು ಪ್ರಸಾದವಾಗಿ ನೀಡಬೇಕು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಅವರು ಸಿದ್ಧಪಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಸಿದ್ಧಪಡಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಕುಕ್ಸನ್ನು ಅವರು ಹೈರ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮಾಲ್ಗುಡಿಯ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿ ಈ ಅಕ್ಕಿ, ತೆಂಗಿನಕಾಯಿ ಮತ್ತು ಬೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ದಾನವಾಗಿ ನೀಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ತನ್ನ ದಾನದ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು, ತನ್ನ ಅಂಗಡಿಯ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ತಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಪೀಚಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ. ಹಾಗೆಯೇ ಈ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ ಮೆರವಣಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಗತ್ಯವಿರುವಂತಹ ಕಿಟ್ಸನ್ ಲೈಟ್ ಮತ್ತು ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಪ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅವರು ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಸಂಜೆಯ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳಕಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಸಿದ್ಧಪಡಿಸಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ಲಿಸ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಮೀ. ವಿಲ್ ಸಿ ದ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಷನ್.